The bed creaked, not from love but from distance. Emma shifted away, her whisper slicing through the dark Seattle night. Not tonight, Jake. It wasn't just rejection, it was a signal, cold and deliberate, like a door locking. Jake lay still, eyes fixed on the ceiling, counting her breaths instead of sleeping. He'd been counting a lot lately, her late nights, her excuses, the texts she hid when he entered the room. He wasn't asleep, though she thought he was. He hadn't slept well in weeks. Jake, 32, was the guy who'd stopped to fix a stranger's flat tire on Rainier Avenue, no questions asked. Last week, he'd spent an hour helping his neighbor, a single mom named Carla, jumpstart her old Honda, waving off her thanks with a grin. Just being a decent human, he'd said, wiping grease off his hands. That's who he was, a mechanic with a steady hand and a heart that didn't quit, even when it ached. But at home, with Emma, that heart was taking hits. She was 31, a rising star at a glossy PR firm downtown, always polished, always in control. To the world, they were the perfect couple, Jake, the grounded everyman, Emma, the ambition in high heels. But the world didn't see the cracks. It started small. A month ago, Jake noticed Emma's phone buzzing at 2 a.m. She'd snatched it up, muttering about a work crisis. But her smile didn't match the words. Then came the client dinners, that stretched past midnight, her keys hitting the counter at 3 a.m., with no explanation. Jake asked once, casually, over breakfast. Late one last night, huh? She shrugged, eyes on her coffee. Just work, babe. You know how it is. But he didn't. He worked 7 to 5 at a garage in Georgetown, fixing engines, not egos. Her world of gala invites and corporate handshakes felt like another planet. The real cut came 2 weeks ago. Jake was grabbing laundry from her car. Emma always left her gym bag in the trunk. When he found it, a hotel receipt tucked in the glove box. The Olympic Hotel, downtown. One night, 2 glasses of Pinot Noir, a room service charge for a suite. Dated last Tuesday, when Emma said she was at a team retreat in Bellevue. Jake's stomach twisted, but he didn't confront her. Not yet. He slipped the receipt into his pocket, his mind already turning. He wasn't the yelling type. He was the type who noticed. That night, as Emma slept, Jake sat in their cramped living room, the receipt burning a hole in his wallet. He opened her laptop. Her password was still their anniversary, a detail that stung more than it should. Her email was a minefield, confirmations for work trips to places she'd never mentioned, a Venmo payment to someone named Ryan for drinks. Ryan. The name hit like a spark. Ryan was Jake's college buddy, the guy who'd crashed on their couch when his real estate deals tanked. Tall, cocky, always too smooth. Jake hadn't seen him in months, but Emma mentioned him last week, casual as anything. Oh, Ryan says hi. Jake's jaw tightened. He closed the laptop, his plan forming in the dark. The next morning, Jake played his part. He made coffee, kissed Emma's forehead as she rushed out for a meeting. But when she left, he got to work. He bought a small security camera online, the kind that blends into a bookshelf. By evening, it was hidden in their living room, angled to catch the couch where Emma spent hours texting. He didn't feel guilty. Not anymore. That night, she came home late again, her phone buzzing as she kicked off her shoes. Rough day? Jake asked, stirring pasta on the stove. She barely looked up. Yeah, client drama. You wouldn't get it. He nodded, but his eyes were on her phone, waiting. The footage came the next day. Jake watched it alone in the garage break room, his lunch untouched. There she was, sprawled on the couch, giggling at her screen. A call came through, and she answered, voice low. Hey, you. No, he's at work. God, you're bad. A laugh then. Can't wait to see you. Jake's grip tightened on his phone. The camera caught her face, lit up in a way he hadn't seen in months. Not for him. For someone else. He saved the clip, his heart pounding but his hands steady. This wasn't about pain anymore. It was about proof. Over the next week, Jake became a ghost in his own life. He smiled at Emma's stories, nodded at her complaints, even held her hand at a friend's barbecue when she leaned into him for show. But he was collecting. Another receipt in her purse, dinner at Canlis, a place they'd never been together. A text he glimpsed before she locked her phone. Miss you already? And then, the clincher. While Emma showered, Jake checked her car again. Tucked under the passenger seat was a cufflink, silver, engraved with R.T. Ryan Tanner. Jake pocketed it, his mind racing. He didn't need to guess anymore. He knew. That night, as Emma slept, Jake sat at the kitchen table, the cufflink in his hand. He could confront her, scream, throw it in her face. But that wasn't him. Jake didn't break things, he fixed them. And this? This needed fixing. Not their marriage, it was already gone. But the lie she was living, the one where she thought she could play him and walk away clean. He placed the cufflink on the counter, right where she'd see it in the morning, and went to bed. When Emma woke, her eyes flicked to it, then to Jake. "What's this?" she asked, voice tight. "Found it in your car," he said, sipping coffee. "Thought it was your dad's." Her face froze, but she recovered fast. "Yeah, must have borrowed his car. I'll drop it off." She slipped it into her pocket, but Jake saw the panic in her eyes. He smiled. Let her think she was safe. The gala was coming, Emma's big night, where her firm would parade her in front of Seattle's elite. She'd expect Jake to stand by her, quiet and supportive, while she dazzled. But Jake had other plans. He'd been invited to speak, a surprise, the event organizer thought would be sweet. Emma didn't know. Neither did Ryan, who'd be there, schmoozing clients. Jake spent the day before polishing his speech, uploading files to a private drive, the receipts, the footage, the texts he'd screenshotted. He wasn't just going to walk away. He was going to light a match. Jake's plan was a machine now, gears turning with precision. The cufflink incident had rattled Emma, but she didn't break character. She kissed Jake goodbye that morning, her lips grazing his cheek like a transaction, and left for another client meeting. Jake watched her car pull out of their Seattle driveway, his coffee cooling in his hand. He didn't follow her. He didn't need to. The camera in the living room was still rolling, and he had a new tool, a tiny GPS tracker, slipped into the lining of her gym bag while she showered. It wasn't paranoia, it was strategy. By noon, Jake was back at the garage, elbows deep in the truck's engine, but his mind was elsewhere. His phone pinged with the tracker's data. Emma wasn't at her downtown office. She was at a cafe in Capitol Hill, a place she'd once called too hipster for them. Jake didn't react, just noted the location and clocked out early. He drove to the cafe, parking across the street, and waited. Sure enough, there she was, sipping an iced latte, laughing with Ryan. His old college buddy leaned close, his hand brushing hers. Jake's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm, snapping a photo through the window. Evidence, not emotion, was his currency now. Back home, Jake reviewed the living room footage from the night before. Emma had come home late, claiming a last-minute pitch prep. The camera told a different story. She'd sprawled on the couch, phone in hand, texting furiously. A notification popped up, Ryan's name. She'd smirked, typing, "He's asleep. Wish you were here." Jake saved the clip, adding it to his growing file. He wasn't just collecting proof for himself anymore. He was building a case, one that would hit Emma where it hurt most, her reputation. The next day, Jake upped the ante. He forgot his phone charger at home, knowing Emma would be there alone. When he returned an hour later, she was on the phone, voice low, pacing the kitchen. "No, he doesn't suspect anything," she said, oblivious to Jake standing in the hallway. "Just keep it chill, okay? The gala's in 2 days." Jake slipped out before she noticed, his heart pounding but his resolve ironclad. He knew Ryan would be at the gala, playing the charming real estate hotshot. Jake's speech was ready, but he needed one more piece to make it airtight. That evening, Jake accessed their joint bank account from his laptop. Emma hadn't touched it in months. She preferred her work expense card, but Jake found what he was looking for, a $1,200 charge to a boutique hotel in Belltown, timestamped 3 weeks ago. He cross-checked it with the GPS data. Emma had been there when she told him she was at a team-building retreat. He downloaded the statement, then noticed something else, a Venmo payment to Ryan for dinner. Jake's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He transferred half the account's balance, $4,000, to a savings account Emma had forgotten about, one they'd opened for a Hawaii trip that never happened. It was legal, quiet, and his. The next move was riskier. Jake called Lily, Emma's sister, who lived in Tacoma. Lily always liked Jake calling him the good one at family dinners. He didn't tell her everything, just enough. I found some weird charges. Can you check if Emma's been acting off? Lily hesitated, then admitted Emma had been distant, always on her phone, dodging family plans. She mentioned Ryan a lot lately. Lily said, her voice uneasy. Said he's helping with a big client. Jake thanked her, planting a seed. He didn't need Lily to turn on Emma. He just needed her curious. The day before the gala, Jake found his final piece. While Emma was at a late meeting, he checked her car again. Under the driver's seat was a parking stub from a motel on Route 12, dated last week. He drove there, a rundown place with flickering neon signs, and charmed the desk clerk with a story about losing his wallet. The clerk confirmed Emma had checked in with a guy matching Ryan's description. Jake didn't ask for more. He didn't need to. He took a photo of the motel sign and added it to his file. That night, he uploaded everything, receipts, footage, texts, GPS logs, to a private cloud drive, encrypted and ready. He titled it Gala Surprise. Emma came home at 11 p.m., humming, her guard down. Big day tomorrow, she said, tossing her keys on the counter. You're still coming, right? Jake nodded, his face neutral. Wouldn't miss it. She smiled, oblivious, and went to bed. Jake stayed up, finalizing his speech. It wasn't angry or bitter, it was calm, surgical, designed to unravel her world in front of the people she cared about most. He emailed the event organizer, confirming his slot as the surprise speaker. The organizer thought it was a sweet gesture for Emma. Jake didn't correct her. The morning of the gala, Jake played his last card. He left the motel parking stub on the kitchen counter, next to Emma's coffee mug. When she saw it, her eyes widened, but she covered it fast. Oh, work thing, she said, shoving it in her purse. Jake just smiled. Sure. He knew she'd spend the day scrambling, texting Ryan, trying to figure out how much he knew. Let her sweat. Let her think she could still control the story. Jake was done being the clueless husband. Tonight, at the gala, he'd step into the spotlight, not to beg, not to break, but to burn her lies to the ground. The Seattle waterfront hotel buzzed with the energy of the charity gala, a glittering showcase for Emma's PR firm. Jake walked in, his charcoal suit pressed but unassuming, blending into the crowd of donors and executives. He wasn't here to mingle. His speech was locked in his mind, every word sharp, ready to cut through the facade Emma had built. She didn't know he was speaking tonight. Neither did Ryan. That was the point. Jake lingered near the catering tables, watching Emma work the room. She moved with ease, shaking hands, laughing at the right moments, her charm a well-rehearsed weapon. Ryan was there too, in a tailored blazer, flashing his real estate agent grin at potential clients. Jake caught them exchange a glance, brief but loaded, her hand grazing Ryan's arm as she passed. The photographer snapped it. Jake had tipped him off earlier, a quiet, "Hey, keep an eye on them." The evidence was piling up, even now. Jake's phone vibrated, a text from Lily, Emma's sister. Found something weird in Emma's old emails. Call me after the gala. Jake didn't reply. He'd deal with Lily later. For now, his focus was the encrypted file on his cloud drive, receipts, GPS logs, living room footage, the motel stub, all time-stamped and irrefutable. He'd spent the afternoon sending it to select recipients, Emma's boss, 2 board members, Ryan's wife, and a journalist friend who owed him a favor. The email was scheduled to hit their inboxes at 9 p.m., mid-gala, with the subject line, "The Truth About Loyalty." The event director took the stage, thanking donors and hyping the firm's mission. Then came the curveball. We have a special guest tonight, a surprise for one of our brightest stars, Emma Carter. Her husband, Jake, has a few words. The room clapped politely. Emma froze, her smile faltering as Jake stepped to the mic. Ryan shifted in his seat, his eyes darting to the exit. Jake adjusted the microphone, his hands steady, his voice calm. Evening, everyone, Jake began. I'm Jake Carter. Most of you don't know me. I'm the guy in the background, fixing things, staying out of the spotlight. Emma's the star, and I've always been proud of her. The crowd nodded, charmed. Emma's shoulders relaxed slightly, but Jake wasn't done. Tonight's about loyalty, though. Not just to a cause, but to people. To promises. His tone stayed even, but the air in the room tightened. I used to think loyalty meant staying quiet, supporting someone even when they drift. But I learned something recently. Loyalty doesn't mean ignoring the truth. Emma's eyes widened. Ryan gripped his glass. Jake pressed on. For months I've watched someone I trusted, 2 people actually, build a lie. Hotel receipts, late-night texts, secret dinners. You don't need the details, but some of you will get them. Check your emails at 9 p.m. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Emma's hand shook as she reached for her phone. Jake looked straight at her. This isn't about revenge. It's about honesty. I'm done pretending. Thank you. He stepped off the stage, the room erupting in whispers. Phones buzzed as emails landed. Emma's boss checked his screen, his face hardening. Ryan's wife stood, her chair scraping, and stormed toward him. Jake didn't look back. He walked to the elevator, the weight of 2 years lifting with each step. Outside, the Seattle night was crisp, the waterfront lights reflecting off the Puget Sound. He breathed deeply, free for the first time in months. By the time Jake reached his car, his phone lit up. Missed calls from Emma, texts from Lily. What did you do? She's freaking out. A voicemail from the journalist. Jake, this is explosive. Can we talk? He ignored them all. The gala was chaos now. He didn't need to see it to know. Emma's carefully crafted image was crumbling, and Ryan's charm wouldn't save him. Jake drove to a cheap motel in Tacoma, where he'd booked a room for the night. No drama, no confrontation, just distance. At the motel, Jake opened his laptop and checked the cloud drive. The files had been opened by Emma's boss and the journalist. Ryan's wife had replied, "Thank you. I needed to know." Jake closed the laptop, his mind already shifting to the next step. He wasn't done. Emma thought she could spin this, charm her way out like always. But Jake had one more card to play, something she'd never see coming. Tomorrow, he'd meet Lily, who'd found those emails. Whatever was in them, it was another piece of the puzzle, and Jake was ready to use it. Jake woke in his Tacoma motel room to a barrage of notifications. His phone buzzed with missed calls from Emma, 17 since the gala last night, and a single text from Lily. Meet me at 10. Found something big. He ignored Emma's voicemails, knowing they'd be a mix of apologies and excuses. The gala had done its job. The emails he sent, packed with receipts, texts, and footage, had landed like a grenade. Social media was already ablaze with screenshots from the journalist, who leaked a blurred photo of Emma and Ryan at the motel. The caption read, Seattle PR star's secret affair exposed. Jake didn't smile. He didn't need to. The truth was doing the work. He drove to a diner in Tacoma to meet Lily. She was waiting in a corner booth, clutching a coffee mug, her eyes red but sharp. Jake slid into the seat across from her, keeping his voice low. What did you find? Lily pushed a USB drive across the table. Emma's old email account. She used it for work before the firm. I hacked in, don't ask how. Jake raised an eyebrow but took the drive. It's not just Ryan, Lily said. She's done this before. Emails from 2 years ago, when you were engaged. She was seeing some guy from her old job. Bragging about it to a friend, saying she'd lock you down before you noticed. Jake's stomach turned, but he stayed calm. Anything else? Lily nodded. She's pregnant. I found a doctor's appointment confirmation. She hasn't told you, has she? Jake shook his head. He'd found the test weeks ago, hidden in the laundry room, but hearing it confirmed felt like a fresh cut. Back at the motel, Jake plugged the USB into his laptop. The emails were damning, Emma joking about stringing Jake along, calling him safe, while flirting with a coworker. One message sent the week of their engagement party read, He's sweet, but I need more. Don't worry, he'll never know. Jake saved the files, adding them to his cloud drive. He wasn't surprised, but the pattern stung. Emma didn't just cheat, she planned it, weaving lies like a second skin. The pregnancy added a twist. When he'd asked her about kids last month, she'd laughed it off. Not ready for that, babe. Now he knew why. Jake's next move was quiet but deliberate. He contacted a lawyer, a friend of his dad's who specialized in divorce. Over coffee, Jake laid out everything: the receipts, footage, GPS logs, and now Lily's emails. The lawyer nodded, jotting notes. "You've got a strong case. She won't get much if you file first." Jake didn't want revenge, he wanted out, clean and fair. He instructed the lawyer to freeze the joint account and start the paperwork. Then he called his bank, confirming the $4,000 he'd moved to the old savings account was secure. Emma hadn't noticed yet. She would soon. By afternoon, the fallout was spreading. Jake checked his phone. Emma's firm had issued a statement, suspending her pending an internal review. A colleague had forwarded him an email from her boss. "We cannot condone behavior that undermines our values." Ryan's wife had changed her social media status to single, and a mutual friend texted Jake that Ryan was crashing at a buddy's condo, dodging calls. The journalist had published a follow-up, quoting an anonymous source, likely Lily, about Emma's history of deception. Jake didn't read the comments. He didn't need to. The internet was tearing Emma's image apart. That evening, Emma showed up at the motel. Jake saw her car through the window, her headlights cutting through the dusk. She knocked, her voice sharp but shaky. "Jake, open the door. We need to talk." He didn't move. She knocked again, louder. "I know you're in there. Please." Jake stayed silent, recording the audio on his phone. After 10 minutes, she switched tactics, her tone softening. "I messed up, okay? It was a mistake. Ryan's nothing." Jake almost laughed. The same woman who'd giggled on camera about playing him was now begging. He let her talk, her words piling up like evidence. Finally, she left, her car peeling out of the lot. Jake reviewed the recording. At one point, Emma said, "You're the only one I ever wanted." He saved it, then cross-checked it with the gala footage where she'd whispered to Ryan, "Can't wait for tomorrow." The contrast was stark, and he knew it would matter in court. He emailed the audio to his lawyer, along with a note. "She's trying to rewrite the story. Don't let her." Then he called Lily, thanking her for the USB. "You didn't have to help me," he said. Lily sighed. "Your family, Jake. She's my sister, but you didn't deserve this." Jake hung up, a flicker of warmth breaking through his resolve. He wasn't alone. The next morning, Jake drove to a storage unit he'd rented in Tacoma. Inside was a box of documents, bank statements, the motel stub, a copy of the cufflink photo. He added Lily's USB and locked it up. Emma didn't know about the unit, and she wouldn't. Jake wasn't playing her game anymore. He checked his phone, another voicemail from Emma, this time tearful. "I'm pregnant, Jake. We can fix this." He deleted it. She'd had months to tell him, to choose him. She didn't. Now, the final piece was coming, something Emma couldn't spin, something that would seal her downfall. Jake wasn't sure what it was yet, but Lily's call hinted at more. He was ready. Jake sat on the edge of a weathered dock in Tacoma, the Puget Sound lapping below, his phone silent for the first time in days. The gala was a week ago, and Emma's world had unraveled. Her firm had fired her, citing breach of trust. Ryan's wife had filed for divorce, and his real estate listings were tanking after clients saw the leaked gala photos. Jake's email, receipts, text footage had done its job, spreading like wildfire across Seattle's social circles. But Jake wasn't gloating. He was done with anger. This was about moving forward. Lily called that morning, her voice steady but heavy. "I found one last thing," she said. "Check your email." Jake opened his laptop in his new apartment, a small rental above a hardware store, the salty coastal air drifting through the window. Lily had sent a zip file, more emails from Emma's old account, these from last year. They detailed her pitching a side hustle to a coworker, funneling client funds through a shell account for consulting. It wasn't just infidelity. Emma had been skimming money, risking her firm's reputation long before Jake exposed her. He forwarded the file to his lawyer and the journalist, adding a note. "For the record." He didn't need to say more. The truth would handle itself. Jake's next move was final. He drafted letters, 15 of them, handwritten, each to someone in Emma's orbit, her former boss, her nonprofit board, the couple who hosted their engagement party. Each letter was calm, factual, detailing key moments, the motel stub, the cufflink, the bank charges, the pregnancy she hid. He included one email from Lily's stash, where Emma mocked Jake to Ryan. "He'll stay because he's too loyal to leave." The letters weren't cruel, they were honest, a record of what Jake had endured. He signed each with, "This isn't revenge. It's me taking my life back." He mailed them from a post office in Tacoma, then turned off his phone. The fallout came fast. Emma's nonprofit board dropped her permanently, citing ethical concerns. Her sister, Lily, texted Jake. "Mom saw the letter. She's done defending her." The journalist published a new piece, hinting at financial misconduct without naming Jake. Social media churned with speculation, and Emma's profiles went dark. Ryan left a voicemail, his voice cracked. "You've ruined me, man. Call me back." Jake deleted it. He didn't owe Ryan a conversation. The man who'd laughed in his car while Emma called Jake easy to play could figure it out alone. That evening, Emma showed up at Jake's apartment. He saw her through the window, pacing the sidewalk, her phone clutched tight. She knocked, softer than at the motel, her voice breaking. "Jake, I know you're there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." He recorded it, not for court but for himself, a reminder she couldn't rewrite this. She mentioned the pregnancy again, her voice desperate. "This could be ours, Jake. We could start over." He didn't open the door. After 20 minutes, she left, her car idling before pulling away. Jake saved the audio to his cloud drive, then blocked her number. The next day, Jake started work at a boat repair shop, a favor from a friend of his dad's. He spent his mornings sanding hulls and tightening bolts, the rhythm of honest work grounding him. The guys at the shop didn't ask about his past, just handed him tools and pointed to the next job. At lunch, Lily showed up unannounced, carrying takeout tacos. They ate on the dock, the conversation light, her new job at a bookstore, a stray cat she'd adopted. "You look different," she said, squinting at him. "Lighter." Jake nodded. "I'm getting there." That night, Jake got a letter from Emma, slipped under his door. It was 2 pages, her handwriting shaky, admitting the affair, the lies, the pregnancy. The last line read, "I didn't stop loving you. I stopped deserving you." Jake read it once, then burned it in a metal trash can outside, watching the flames curl the paper. He didn't feel sad or angry, just done. The house they'd shared was sold, the proceeds split evenly by his lawyer. Jake took his half and opened a new account, one Emma couldn't touch. A week later, Lily sent a final message. "Emma's moving to Portland. She's starting over, or trying to." Jake didn't reply. He didn't need to know where Emma went, or what she did. His life was here now, in the hum of the repair shop, the salt air, the quiet evenings where he could hear his own thoughts. One morning, as he tightened a boat's propeller, a coworker's sister, Mia, stopped by with coffee. She was a surf instructor, blunt and funny, and didn't ask about his past. "You owe me coffee tomorrow," she said, tossing him a grin as she left. Jake smiled back. It wasn't a promise, just a start. Jake walked to the marina that evening, the sunset painting the water gold. He sat on a bench, his hands still smelling of engine oil, and felt the weight of the last 2 years lift. Emma's lies, Ryan's betrayal, the gala, they were ghosts now, fading with each honest day. He'd exposed the truth, not to destroy, but to free himself. And for the first time, he didn't feel like he had to apologize for existing. He was enough.